Have you ever felt like you're too much for people? Too intense? Too emotional? Too aware? And because of that, you constantly feel like people pull away, misunderstand you, or just don't get you. If so, you might be a chosen one vibrating at a higher frequency than most people around you. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The gift that feels like a curse. Being emotionally aware is a divine gift. You can sense things before they're said. You notice the shifts in energy when a room goes quiet. You feel someone's pain even when they smile. But when you're a chosen one with high emotional vibration, relationships can feel like walking barefoot through fire because you're not made for surface level. You crave truth. You crave connection. You crave authenticity. And when others just want to keep it light, your soul screams, "I can't fake it." The chosen one's wiring. Why you love. So deeply chosen ones have usually gone through early emotional pain, abandonment, rejection, family trauma, or childhood responsibilities beyond their years. That pain awakened something in you, a deeper awareness, a higher perspective, a calling to love with intention. So when you love someone, you see them. Not just the version they show the world, but their wounds, their potential, and their soul. You don't date for fun. You connect for purpose. But the problem, most people aren't used to that depth. Real life example. Too intense, too fast. One woman shared that after years of inner healing, she finally opened up to dating again. She met someone she liked, and from the very beginning, she communicated openly, shared spiritual insights, asked deep questions. And the guy ghosted her within a week. He later told her, "You're amazing, but I felt like I couldn't hide anything from you. It scared me." See the pattern? When your energy is high, your presence becomes a mirror. People either rise or run. Why others pull away from chosen ones. When you're emotionally aware, you notice when someone's lying, even if they're smiling, when someone's projecting their pain onto you, when someone is emotionally unavailable but pretending otherwise. And here's the truth most don't want to say, people don't like being seen unless they're ready to face themselves. Your awareness becomes confronting. Your love feels too intense. Your silence even speaks volumes. So instead of honoring your insight, they call you too emotional, too sensitive, or too much. But you're not too much. You're just enough for the space you were created to fill. Part 2. When your frequency rises, but they stay the same. Have you ever felt guilty for outgrowing someone you once prayed for? Someone you deeply loved? Someone you thought was your forever? But now, conversations feel shallow. The energy feels off. And you can't explain why. You just feel it in your spirit. That's the silent grief of a chosen one. You're growing. And that's the problem. When a chosen one starts healing, their energy starts expanding. You begin speaking more consciously, craving spiritual connection, not just physical chemistry, noticing toxic cycles before they even unfold, needing peace. More than you need validation, but here's what no one warns you about. Growth is beautiful, but lonely. The people who once felt like your person suddenly feel distant. Not because you changed overnight, but because they didn't. You're outgrowing arguments. You're done explaining basic respect. You no longer resonate with drama, gossip, or emotional unavailability, and that vibrational mismatch creates silent tension. Real life story, the six-figure job versus soul-calling conflict. There was a time when you had a stable six-figure job. On paper, it was perfect. Status, salary, security. But every day felt like a slow soul death. Even though you were surrounded by people, you felt unseen. Even though you earned well, you felt emotionally bankrupt. Why? Because you weren't created just to survive. You were called to serve. And that's when your inner voice, your intuition, your divine guidance started whispering, you were made for more. But fear creeps in. What will my parents say? What if I leave everything and fail? What if I regret this later, and yet everything around you starts crumbling? Because your soul refuses to stay in a space your spirit has outgrown. That same energy plays out in relationships too. You're doing the inner work, they're avoiding it. You're trying to heal and grow, they're trying to stay comfortable. Eventually, the connection starts feeling forced. The repeating pattern, chosen ones. Notice chosen ones often face this loop in love. You meet someone who's attracted to your light. You emotionally invest, hoping they'll grow with you. You start healing, evolving, setting new boundaries. They get triggered, distant, avoidant. The relationship begins to feel misaligned. You try to fix it until spirit finally tells you, you can't carry someone who refuses to walk. The pain of leaving. Before you're ready, ending a relationship while you still love someone is a spiritual initiation in itself. Because your soul knows what your heart doesn't want to admit. Love isn't enough if they're not willing to evolve with you. You don't hate them. You're not better than them. You just no longer belong in that frequency. Chosen ones are here to break patterns, not repeat them. This is why your relationships feel more intense, why letting go feels heavier, why casual dating never works for you. Because your soul isn't here to repeat generational pain cycles. You're here to break them. You're not here for codependent love. You're here for conscious connection. You're not meant to settle. You're meant to shift. Every space you enter. Part 3. Protecting your light without closing your heart. How do you protect your energy and still keep your heart open to love when you've been hurt for being too open before? Because let's be real. The very thing that makes you special, your emotional awareness, your sensitivity, your compassion, is also what people have taken advantage of. So, how do you stay soft in a world that keeps trying to harden you? Lesson: guard your light. Not your love as a chosen one. Your energy is medicine. You bring warmth where there was coldness. You bring hope where there was despair. You feel deeply, and that's a sacred gift. But there's a difference between being open and being unguarded. You're not meant to shut down or isolate. You're meant to discern who deserves access to your light, because not everyone has the capacity to receive it. Some people are drawn to your energy, but they want to consume it, not honor it. Real life example, they always come back. Have you ever noticed that the same people who ghosted you, the ones who said you were too much, the ones who weren't ready for someone like you, eventually come back? Maybe not to love you properly, but to reconnect with the peace they felt when they were around you. It's not about you. It's about your vibration. You were a safe space they didn't know how to hold. You were home, and they didn't have the tools to keep it standing. Protecting your energy doesn't mean closing your heart. Let's be clear, saying no is not rude. Setting boundaries is not selfish. Walking away from unhealed energy is not dramatic. It's necessary. If someone makes you feel guilty for having standards, they were never aligned with your vibration. You're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. Energy healing and inner alignment. Your real relationship. Work, sometimes people ask, how do I attract someone who truly sees and values me? And the answer is, by becoming the person who truly sees and values themselves first. Your outer relationships are a mirror of your inner ones. When you ignore your intuition to keep someone, you've already abandoned yourself. When you shrink your light to make them comfortable, you've already betrayed your gift. And when you give from an empty cup, you attract people who drink from it, but never refill it. Story from your own life. Choosing the calling. Let's go back to that 6-figure job. You were earning well. living the dream everyone else respected. But inside, restlessness, fatigue, emotional conflict. A constant whisper, there's more for you. The money was good, but your soul was starving. And then things started falling apart, not because you weren't good enough, but because you were too aligned for something that wasn't your calling anymore. It's the same in relationships. The universe will start removing people when your frequency rises, not as punishment, but as preparation. Part 3. Thought. Love is meant to uplift, not drain. As a chosen one with a high vibration, you are not hard to love. You just require conscious love. The kind that listens, the kind that sees, the kind that grows with you. We're never meant for love that confuses, manipulates, or diminishes. You are meant for love that amplifies your light, and until that comes, your energy is too valuable to waste. Part 4. Preparing for divine love without losing yourself. Do you sometimes feel like you're meant for a love that doesn't exist in this world? Like your heart knows a connection that's deeper, purer, more soulful. But everything you meet in the real world feels surface level, transactional, and emotionally unavailable? If you feel this, you're not crazy. You're connected. And this is exactly what chosen ones experience on the path to divine love. The long wait before divine alignment, chosen ones often feel lonely in love not because they're unworthy, but because their soul is waiting for the right frequency. That kind of love isn't rushed. It's not forced. It's prepared. And sometimes, before you meet that person, you're taken through deep emotional tests. Loving people who can't meet you where you are. Losing people you thought were forever, being misunderstood again and again, facing seasons of deep emotional isolation. Why? Because divine love can't be built on wounds. It must be built on wholeness. And God will often delay the union until both people are vibrating in truth. How to prepare without settling or shutting down. The hardest part of the journey is this: staying open. Even when you've been hurt, even when you're tired, even when you feel like giving up. So how do you keep the faith? By shifting your focus from finding love to becoming love. Every time you heal an old wound, choose boundaries over people-pleasing rest instead of chasing a line with your calling, instead of clinging to comfort, you prepare your heart to receive what's aligned. Real-life reflection. Losing love while finding myself. There's a time in your life when someone seemed perfect. They said the right things, made you feel seen, felt like home. But as you started evolving, your paths started drifting. You began to speak more truthfully. You were no longer okay with passive aggression or emotional avoidance. You started walking in your purpose. And they weren't ready for that version of you. So the relationship broke, and you questioned everything. Was I too much? Did I ask for too much? Will I ever be truly understood? But now, looking back, you realize that loss made space for something greater, yourself. What a divine relationship actually looks like. It's not fireworks. It's frequency. It's when two healed people meet, not to complete each other, but to expand each other. A divine relationship feels like calm nervous systems, honest communication, deep spiritual respect, emotional safety, mutual accountability. Purpose-driven partnership, and most importantly, it doesn't pull you away from your higher path. It supports it. Chosen ones are not here to settle. You're not here to tolerate lukewarm love. You're here to lead, to awaken, to embody sacred partnership, and that love is coming. But it won't arrive when you're begging, chasing, or settling. It will arrive when you are aligned in purpose, rooted in peace, overflowing with wholeness, because that's what divine love recognizes: wholeness, not wounds. Part 5. Stop blaming yourself for outgrowing people. Have you ever felt guilty for growing? Guilty for healing too much, evolving too fast, or rising beyond the space that once felt safe? If yes, you're not alone. Many high vibrational, emotionally aware chosen ones secretly carry guilt for becoming who they were born to be. But here's the truth no one tells you. Outgrowing someone is not betrayal. It's alignment. You didn't push them away. They chose to stay the same. Let's unpack a painful truth. When you raise your frequency, you become a mirror, and not everyone is ready to look at their reflection. You didn't hurt them by healing. You just made them uncomfortable with their unhealed self. Think about it. You used to tolerate being ignored. Now you expect communication. You used to apologize for your needs. Now you own them. You used to overgive. Now you protect your energy. And the people who benefited from your old self? They will call your growth selfish, cold, or too much. But they're not really reacting to you. They're reacting to the version of you that no longer lets them treat you like an emotional dumpster. A real-life shift. The day you said no more. There comes a day in every chosen one's life when they stop chasing peace externally and start creating it internally. Maybe for you, it was when you stopped explaining your boundaries. You stopped attending draining conversations out of obligation. You stopped fixing people who never intended to heal. And in that moment, you finally felt a strange emotion. Relief. Because finally, your energy belonged to you, and the ones who left after that, they were never with you. They were with your wounds. Why your vibration naturally repels what's not for you. Here's something you might not realize. When your vibration rises, your aura literally shifts. People who aren't aligned with that frequency feel uncomfortable around you. Misunderstand your words, resist your boundaries, try to provoke you into lowering your standards. It's not a curse, it's protection. Think about how magnets work. Your new frequency doesn't attract everyone. It attracts only those who vibrate in truth, respect, and readiness. So if people start falling away, it's not rejection. It's divine pruning. The grief no one talks about. Let's pause here to honor something. Outgrowing people you love is painful. You miss the memories you wish they could rise with you. You wonder if you're the problem, you second guess. Your path, this is spiritual grief. And it's very real. But what's also real is this truth. You were never meant to shrink your light just to keep familiar darkness around.
You're breaking generational cycles not everyone can follow. Chosen ones aren't just healing themselves, they're healing bloodlines. You may be the first in your family too. Set boundaries, say no to toxic patterns, choose peace over chaos. Choose spiritual growth over societal validation, and when you do that, to naturally lose people who were part of the old system. You're not failing, you're cleansing. How to release the guilt without closing your heart. Let's say it clearly. You are allowed to grow, you are allowed to change, you are allowed to walk away from people who confuse your kindness for weakness. And doing so does not make you unkind, it makes you aware. So the next time someone says, "You've changed," say yes, and I worked hard for it. The next time you're tempted to stay where your soul no longer feels safe, remember, your peace is not up for negotiation. Why high vibrational chosen ones struggle in relationships, Part 6, Recognizing. Emotionally available love without repeating the past. How do you know if someone is truly emotionally available? Or if they're just mirroring your light until they can't hold it anymore? For many high vibrational chosen ones, this is the biggest fear. What if I open my heart again, and it breaks me again? Let's talk about how to recognize emotionally mature love, and how not to sabotage it when it finally arrives. Why emotionally available love feels boring at first. You've been through emotional chaos, toxic highs and devastating lows. People who pulled you close, then pushed you away. You've learned to mistake adrenaline for intimacy. So when someone comes along who communicates, openly respects your boundaries, doesn't play mind games, shows up consistently, A part of you panics. It feels unfamiliar. It feels too easy. It feels not passionate enough. But here's the truth. That's not boredom. That's peace. You're just not used to it yet. Rewiring your nervous system to receive. Safe love. Your nervous system has a memory. If you've only known love that triggers your anxiety, your body might reject calm as unsafe. This is why healing chosen ones sometimes run from good people. You're not scared of love. You're scared of losing yourself again. But here's how you start trusting. Safe love. Name your fear. I'm afraid of being vulnerable again. Share your need. I need. Emotional consistency. Stay conscious. Don't confuse calm with disconnection. It's okay to be scared. Just don't let fear write your love story. How to tell if someone is truly emotionally available. Everyone who seems spiritual is ready for real connection. Here's how you know someone is emotionally available. They take responsibility for their emotions. They don't blame you for how they feel. They own it. They don't disappear during conflict. They stay, listen, reflect, and work through the tough stuff. They see your emotions as strength, not weakness. They don't shame you for being sensitive. They honor it. They celebrate your growth, not compete with it. Your rising light doesn't threaten them, inspires them. They make space for your purpose. They don't pull you off your path. They walk beside it. Real life reflection. When the right person comes, you might be doing your healing work. And then someone walks in who doesn't want to fix you. They don't need you to shrink. They don't feel intimidated by your emotional depth. They respect it, and suddenly you feel seen. Not because they gave you butterflies, but because your soul could finally exhale. This is what real love feels like. Your nervous system relaxes. You don't have to perform. You can share your truth without fear. You grow together without losing yourself, and you realize you were never too much. You were always asking the wrong people to meet you where you were. Spiritual tip. Don't abandon love because of old wounds. When emotionally safe love shows up, you'll be tempted to test it. You might push them away to see if they'll stay quiet to see if they'll notice. Create distance to see if they'll chase. But remember, emotionally available people don't play games. They communicate, they clarify, they connect. If you test them too much thinking it's protection, you may drive them away. Don't let your trauma punish someone who came to love you differently. Divine love is not a reward. It's your birthright. Chosen ones often think, I'll finally find love when I'm fully healed. But divine love doesn't come after healing. It often comes through it. You meet people along your path who help you remember. You are worthy of gentle love. You don't have to earn safety. You don't need to be perfect to be loved. Divine love doesn't complete you. It reflects the wholeness you've already built. So when you meet someone aligned, don't let old wounds speak louder than present peace. Let your heart trust what your soul already knows. Why high vibrational chosen ones struggle in relationships, Part 7. How to attract aligned love without chasing or shrinking. Have you ever asked yourself, why do I always end up giving more than I receive? Why does it feel like I have to shrink to be loved? Chosen ones. If you've ever felt like you have to chase love or settle for less to be accepted, this part is for you. Let's talk about how high vibrational people can attract love that honors their soul without losing themselves in the process. Your energy is meant to draw, not chase when your vibration is high. Your job is not to run after what's misaligned. Your energy, your light is meant to draw in what's ready and meant for you. But here's the catch. If you don't feel worthy of stillness, you'll confuse chasing for effort and settling for patience. You'll try to prove your worth to people who were never meant to hold your heart. Chosen ones are often givers, but sometimes that giving comes from a place of old abandonment wounds. It's time to stop giving so much, just to be kept. The old pattern, proving your worth to the wrong people. Here's a cycle many chosen ones fall into. You meet someone with potential. You feel their pain, their wounds, their blocks. You think, maybe my love will heal them. You give and give and give. They leave, or worse, they stay and drain you. You feel empty, question your worth. Start again. Sound familiar? This isn't love. This is self-abandonment in disguise. A personal turning point. Why am I always the healer? One woman shared her story. She had been in multiple relationships where she was the empath, the guide, the emotional anchor. But every breakup ended with the same thought. I poured everything into them, but who's pouring into me? It hit her. One day after another draining breakup, she said aloud, "Why am I always the healer and never the held?" That was the shift. She stopped seeking love that needed her healing and started opening to love that honored her wholeness, aligned. Love doesn't ask you to dim your light. A healthy, spiritually aligned partner isn't intimidated by your purpose, doesn't shrink when you grow, doesn't guilt you for needing emotional connection, doesn't disappear when things get deep. Instead, they match your energy. They celebrate your growth. They see your boundaries as sacred, not rejection. You'll feel seen, not used. And more importantly, you'll feel safe just being you. How to attract the love you deserve without losing yourself. Here's what chosen ones need to remember. Stop chasing potential. You're not a rehab center. You're a temple. Honor your own healing first. When you prioritize your peace, love that threatens it becomes unattractive. Speak your truth early. Don't wait until you're emotionally invested to show your real needs. Don't settle for being understood only when you're silent. Your emotions are not a burden. They're a language of the soul. Trust divine timing. Just because love is delayed doesn't mean it's denied. It may be preparing you and them to meet in alignment. When you stop chasing, the right one arrives naturally. The moment you stop forcing, begging, proving, or performing, is the moment you create space for the real thing to show up. You won't have to chase them. You won't have to beg them to stay. You won't be scared of speaking your truth, because real love stays, not because of what you give, but because of who you are. Affirm this with me. I do not chase. I do not shrink. I attract love that sees, values, and honors my light. I am already whole. Why high vibrational chosen ones struggle in relationships, Part 8. Have you ever wondered if your pain in relationships was part of a bigger purpose? That maybe you weren't being punished, you were being prepared. Prepared to understand yourself. Prepared to recognize divine love. Prepared to never abandon your own soul again. Let's close this journey by bringing it full circle. From broken to whole, the chosen one's path through pain. Most chosen ones didn't learn love in safe places. You learned love while walking on eggshells, while trying to earn someone's attention, while hiding your needs to avoid being too much. So it's no surprise that love has always felt heavy. You weren't shown what healthy love looks like. You were trained to survive in relationships that weren't built to hold you. But your journey is different now. You're healing. You're remembering. You're unlearning survival to make space for sacred connection. The power of conscious love. What does real, conscious love feel like? It feels like breathing fully around someone, not hiding your shadows. Speaking without shrinking, healing. Not hiding together in conscious love. Conflict doesn't mean disconnection. It means growth. There's space for every version of you, not just the happy you, but the whole you. A personal story. When the healing begins, one viewer shared this. I was always the one trying to make it work. Always saying sorry first. Always bending my needs to make them stay. Until I finally chose myself. Not in anger, but in peace. She didn't slam the door. She didn't scream or beg. She just stood in her light and let the wrong things fall away. That was the moment her healing began. Not when love arrived, but when she stopped settling for love that didn't see her. The difference between lonely and aligned. Loneliness is real. But there's a big difference between being alone because no one wants you, and being alone because your soul is protecting you. Sometimes your solitude is the sacred pause before your real relationship begins. Sometimes God says, wait, because you're still healing, they're still awakening, the foundation still needs to be built in that waiting. Don't lose hope. Love is not a reward for your pain. It's the mirror of your healing. You were never meant to dim to be loved. The most important truth for every chosen one: you were never too much. You just kept giving your light to people committed to darkness. And now, you're healing that pattern. You're learning your worth. You're calling in something different. You don't need to fix anyone. You don't need to be less emotional, less intense, less intuitive. You just need to be with someone who sees that as divine, not dysfunctional. Signs you're ready for: aligned, high vibrational love. Let's end with the 7 signs you're becoming ready to receive what's truly aligned. You're no longer attracted to chaos. You protect your peace over proving your worth. You communicate your boundaries without guilt. You're okay being alone rather than being drained. You've stopped chasing, fixing, and forcing. You understand. Your emotions are wisdom, not weakness. You know now. Real love feels safe, not scary. Final words to the chosen ones: if you've ever cried after giving your all and still feeling not enough, if you've ever stayed in a relationship that slowly dimmed your light, if you've ever begged God, why does love hurt me? This is your reminder. You were never broken. You were just built to love deeper than most people understand. And now that you're healing, you're finally ready to receive a love that doesn't ask you to shrink. A love that matches your frequency, honors your heart, walks beside your purpose, because the love you're calling in will feel like home to your soul. If this video resonated with you, beautiful soul, please like, comment, and subscribe to Chosen Being. This channel is a space where your light is seen, your pain is validated, and your healing is honored. Tell me in the comments, what part of this message did your soul need most today? Until next time, protect your energy, stay rooted in your truth, and never dim your light to be loved. You are chosen, you are worthy, and your love story is still unfolding.